Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a spiritual festival that is just as enchanting as it is, well, confidential. You see, while many of us have heard about Lord Krishna's famous autumn dance, we're about to explore its even more intimate springtime counterpart, the Vasantha Rasa.
So, when people talk about Krishna's incredible Rasa dance, they're usually thinking of the Sharad Purnima, the one that happens in autumn. It's famous, right? But what the sources tell us is that there's another one, celebrated in the spring, called the Vasantha Rasa. And this one is considered even more intimate, more confidential, kind of a hidden gem in the world of devotional stories. So that's the big question, isn't it? What exactly is this divine spring dance? What makes it so incredibly special? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. We'll look at the setting, the story, the deep philosophy behind it, and even how it's all practiced today.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene. At its heart, the Vasantha Rasa is a festival of love and new life, and its timing with the arrival of spring is just perfect.
The setting here is everything. I mean, just picture this, a full moon night in early spring. You're in the forests of Vrindavan, and they are in full bloom. The air itself is just thick with the sweet smell of jasmine and lotus. The sources talk about this peaceful, calming glow from the moonlight. See, this isn't just a pretty background. The whole scene is a symbol for the reawakening of love and life after a long winter.
And it's within this absolutely beautiful setting that the story itself begins to unfold. Right at the center of it all is this divine pastime, an encounter that's sparked by a completely alluring melody. The story, as it's told in texts like the Bhagavata Purana, happens in these four main steps. First, Krishna stands under the Vamsivada tree and begins to play his flute. The sound is so captivating, so irresistible, that the Gopis, the cowherd damsels of Vrindavan, they literally drop everything. Their chores, their duties, even their families. They just have to find the source of that music. They find him on the banks of the Yamuna River, and they're just mesmerized, drawn into this divine dance that lasts the entire night. But you have to understand, this isn't just a dance. It's described as the ultimate expression of pure spiritual love.
Now, this is a really crucial point. We have to understand that this story isn't about some worldly event. No, this is a profound allegory about a kind of love that is completely transcendental, something way beyond our normal everyday experience.
And to really get it, we need to quickly touch on the idea of bhakti yoga. Think of it as a spiritual path, one that's all about achieving self-realization through pure love and devotion to the divine. And in that context, the Rasa dance is seen as the absolute pinnacle, the highest possible expression of this practice.
So every single element here is just dripping with symbolism. Lord Krishna, he represents the divine, the universal soul. The Gopis, they represent us, the individual soul, with all our yearning for that divine connection. The dance itself, that's the beautiful moment of union. And Srimati Radharani is always highlighted as the perfect example, the ideal devotee, representing the highest form of devotion possible.
Now, because this pastime is so elevated, so sacred, the scriptures give a very stark warning. The verse you see here basically says that someone who isn't a supreme controller should never ever try to imitate these acts, not even in their mind. The text warns that foolishly trying to copy these divine acts just leads to destruction. It's like how only Lord Shiva could safely drink the poison from the ocean. It's a powerful reminder that this is a divine drama, not a material one.
Okay, so you might be wondering, well, if we're not supposed to imitate it, why is the story told at all? And that's a fantastic question. The sources are very clear on this. The purpose is actually therapeutic. For someone who hears this story with faith, from a qualified source, it's meant to act like a medicine, to cure what they call the heart disease of material desire and awaken a real, genuine, pure devotion.
This brings us from the deep philosophy to the practical side of things. How do devotees today actually connect with this ancient story? How do they live out its devotional spirit?
Well, on the day of the Vasantha Rasa, devotees do a number of things to deepen their connection. This can include fasting, meditating, chanting sacred mantras, and performing arti, which is a beautiful worship with lit lamps. They'll make offerings of flowers and sweets and spend time singing devotional songs called bhajans and kirtans. And it's not just personal practice. This story has had a huge cultural impact, inspiring classical Indian dance forms like Kathak and Manipuri for centuries.
So after exploring the setting, the story, the philosophy, and the practice, what's the ultimate takeaway? What does this all boil down to? Well, it all comes down to cultivating a very specific internal feeling.
And this right here is the heart of the whole thing.
The entire purpose of the Shri Krishna Vasantha Rasa, the story, the philosophy, the festival, it's not about imitation, it's about inspiration. The goal is to cultivate that very same feeling that the gopis had, a pure, unconditional, and all-consuming love for the divine.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? In our modern world, which is so often filled with temporary relationships and fleeting connections, what can an ancient story of absolute surrender and transcendental devotion teach us about the nature of ultimate love? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.